How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, George. Good to see you again.
Great to see you again.
Yeah.
Today we're here back in Wallingford, Connecticut, meeting up with Kevin. And Kevin has another unique story to share with us. This is a nostalgic 1931 Model A Ford with race history. And today Kevin's going to tell us a little bit about this car.
We were vacationing up in Maine, my family and I, and we found this car in a periodical in New Hampshire. It was a 31 Ford Model A, but in the short little photo in the magazine, you could actually tell it had an altered wheelbase, which tells me it had to be a gasser. I had no proof. On the way home, we went and saw it, and to my amazement, it had the straight axle on it, which is indicative of a gasser, plus 394 Olds Hilborn's injection on the motor, and a lot of race goodies. But I had no proof that the car was actually an old race car.
So it does have a pretty good history, because there's the story about the two brothers back in the 50s, came back from the war, right?
Exactly correct. I spent about a year trying to find who actually owned the car. With the car came an original California pink slip, so I started making phone calls to that address. No one's around. I hired a private investigator, and within 3 days I was actually talking to two brothers who raced the car in Southern California.
Amazing.
And then I was able to talk to the two brothers. One was basically the driver, and the other one was mostly the mechanic. The mechanic actually campaigned the car for 2 years while the other brother went to Vietnam. In Vietnam, he met some bad fate. He lost his right arm in a firefight. But after coming home, he really wanted to drive the car, but could not. The car had a Cadillac LaSalle tranny in it, which means shifting, and he couldn't do it. This was late 1965. What came out in 65 was a B&M Hydro, the automatic. So with the help of some friends, like the song says, they actually swapped it out one night. And he actually continued racing one arm until 1971.
Now, part of the story is when you were tracking these two brothers down, right, on the phone, you said there was part of the conversation was for him to know that this was his legitimate car. He asked you about the plate. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was a story.
Yeah, because he's the one that put that panic department sign up, because it was scary as hell going 9 seconds down a quarter mile with very little brakes. He had a parachute, but it was scary nonetheless. The car raced at Carlsbad, Lyons, Half Moon Bay, Fremont, mostly all the things around the Bellflower area, Los Angeles. And I have actually a notarized document from those two brothers where the car raced and the best time, which was awesome.
So documented history from 31.
In 1930, well, when they raced, they actually bought the car from a farmer. It was Henry Ford Black, and they promised the farmer they wouldn't cut it up. And as you can see, the car is not chopped, not channeled, or gone through the tubbing thing like many things guys did in the 70s, 80s, 90s. But it's a really cool car, and I can't wait to put it all back together.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a close look at the car and continue on with the story about this rare 1931 Model A.
So in looking into this car, this is a steel body, Henry Ford body, and as correspondence with the two brothers back and forth, you have fiberglass front and fiberglass rear fenders and a fiberglass trunk for weight. For less weight for racing means lower ET in the drag race. So it's kind of neat that the car is steel. It's a Henry Ford body, but with fiberglass fenders. They actually said they got those fenders as a Christmas present one year. So this car would pull wheel stands, and when it came down, it would actually bend and hammer the steering shaft. So they have to hammer that into place. That's another cool thing with drag racing.
So Kevin, tell us a little bit about the engine here.
Well, it's kind of neat to see a 394 Olds, Hilborn injected, and many rare parts, including the original Hilborn pump and gasket. I have all the parts to put this together, and the original Offenhauser valve covers.
This is the way it was. This is what the brothers...
This is the way they raced it. It's bare bones, lightweight, and very fast. And looking into the NHRA rules of the time, the cars had to have fenders and they had to have headlights. And the blue plexiglass windows, sometimes they had them red. This is for safety in case the car rolls or crashes. They won't get injured by the glass. And of course, each one of the cars had to have a full roll bar across, and we'll show you that in a moment.
Tell us a little bit, Kevin, about the the uniqueness of this
This is a very
mildly restored interior.
Believe it or not, everything still works. All the door handles, window cranks, I mean, everything still works in this car. Here's how we identified the vehicle with the panic department sign that the driver actually installed, because he was actually driving this car with one arm. The poor guy lost it in Vietnam. Here we have what they had was an invention before roll control was invented. This was a cable that locked up the brakes to warm up the tires at the beginning of the starting line. And then down here was a drag chute. So very simplistic design, very safe, being if it rolls, because when these things roll, you have nothing but wood around you. Once again, for weight, instead of having a metal chair like a bomber seat, a lot of guys use bomber seats, these guys chose cafeteria seats made out of fiberglass. Once again, very lightweight. And then your tin around here is also very thin. Well constructed, but very, very lightweight vehicle. Nice tachometer and a tiny wheel, and pray to God you made it to the end. So when we bought this car, like I said, for the beginning we didn't know who had owned this car, so I was trying to find out what NHRA rules were. We saw this pole in the back, and NHRA actually said you can have it for pushing the car to the starting line, but it could not be filled. This could not be filled, it had to be hollow. And they would actually tap on this and check it. It was a great push bar, no problem at all. Here's the trunk, not a roll bar, rumble seat. And they would have a Moon gas tank in the back for alternate fuel. And all you need is 2 or 3 gallons to get you down the drag strip, and then they shut the car off.
Where do you think the parachute went?
Parachute is actually right here where these 2 bolts are. And someone that purchased this car before me must have taken that with them. But this was a parachute attachment. The slicks are actually M&H Racemaster 15-inch. They're original to the car. They're mounted on 2 rims welded together. That's what they did back in the day. And these are 1940-41 Ford hubcaps. But the original Racemaster slicks, and these are what they used. I actually have another pair that came with the car when I bought it. And it's kind of neat to have the original mag wheels on the front as well.
So basically these guys took this car and they whole shot it probably around the streets where they lived.
The funniest when you say that, because what they told me was, yes, they had some success on the drag strip. Now keep in mind, these guys were campaigning the car without a sponsor. They had no sponsor whatsoever. And they said they had more success on the street than on the strip, because this car is meant for drag racing, not particularly riding around. They did go to a couple of burger joints. They did say that. And what's kind of nice is, throughout the years, contacting them, I have permission to put their name on the door. So I want to put their last name and then racing on the bottom. I thought that would be kind of nostalgia to go with the original paperwork. The boys tell me we got a 1958 Pontiac rear. Rear axle is 488 gear set, and homemade steel traction bars. They're bulletproof. They're unbelievable. They go about 4 feet from welded right to the rear end all the way up to the frame. They did an amazing job, and the welds still stay strong. We're at a crossroads with this car right now. All the plans are to take this motor out, this drivetrain, put in a Chevy small block 383 stroker, and also put in safe steering and safe brakes. I'm sure that would devalue it to the purists out there that would like a real gasser from way back when. If someone's interested in this vehicle, no tire kickers, but if someone wants to step up to the plate and buy a real gasser, can you give Kevin a call at 203-213-5853. I usually get back to anyone after 4, and I can give him all the paperwork and all the parts that I have acquired. Give Kevin a shout.